So, Dr. Akmal, there's lots of conspiracy theories abounding within communities and societies regarding coronavirus. What's your view on the conspiracy theories?
Well, I mean, I think conspiracy theories are great and they help and they make life interesting. And I think that there is always a conspiracy behind a conspiracy theory, and there is always a conspiracy behind anything that happens. So I actually am not a disbeliever in conspiracy theories. I think that the idea or the word conspiracy theory is deliberately created by conspirators to attack those who want to expose their conspiracies. So, if I launch a conspiracy against you, and you come up and say, you are conspiring against me, and I'll say, oh, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. But in reality, I am doing that. So when people talk about a conspiracy theory, my usual question is, so what do you think KGB did? So what do you think CIA does? What do you think MI5 and 6 do? So what do you think Mossad does, or the RAW, or ISI, or the German and the Chinese and all these? What do they do? Why do they have hundreds and hundreds of millions or billions of dollars? Why do they have hundreds of thousands of operatives? What do they do? Meals on wheels or charity? What is it that they do? So what I'm suggesting is that there may be conspiracies, but there are, at our level, it really doesn't matter. So the conspiracy is something that has to be dealt with the relevant intelligence agency or the security apparatus or whoever, the policymakers. But as far as we're concerned, we are the mere mortals, the local, the dispensable people. For us, it is basically day-to-day survival. So,
but what about
Sorry,
continue.
No, what I mean is that, so if I become aware that this was a great international conspiracy, what can I do about that? All I can do is keep on wearing the mask, keep on washing my hands, and get the, the injection. And if I go infertile, it doesn't matter. But the point is that that's what it is. So, to find out that there was a conspiracy, that's not for me and you to really focus too much on. If somebody says and proves there was a conspiracy, we are informed. We may, sort of ring up our MP and say, well, speak out against it. But as far as we are concerned, how will it impact in any way in terms of normal everyday existence?
But it allows society to potentially revolt if they were to find evidence that the claims that are currently going around that the injection and the jabs were, people like Bill Gates are behind
or
it.
Bill Gates have put in a little, nano probe in it. Microchip
New
and
World Order, all these things. If they're not aware, if they are aware and there's a mass awareness, then people could protest and revolt and perhaps...
That is correct. Now, the thing is that, as you know, that anything that you say in the privacy of your house, as long as there's a computer, there's a mobile phone, somebody is able to listen or listening, or it's being recorded or whatever. And that is not a conspiracy theory. That is a fact now. And, anywhere that you go out, you have facial recognition, and everybody, those who want to know where you are. And they also know what you're talking of in your home. And now there are, what they call the algorithms, which are telling you what you're thinking or what you are inclined to do. So that film that you had once, where they were talking of future crimes, and before the crime is committed, you get arrested while not having committed a crime. We are coming to that stage, and there was one false arrest recently based on that, because the facial recognition declared that this person was there, whereas in reality, that person wasn't there. So we are coming to that age. We have come to that age. And you're right that so what is the power that we have? We have the power to know, to find out, and the power to vote, and the democratic power to protest, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And so I think that if we find out that, there is a mass conspiracy to inoculate people and overcome some form of civil liberties or mind control or whatever, the sickos somewhere in a lab may be thinking. If that is the case, then of course we should be made aware. And we should, if we have a suspicion, we could look at it and then unite and then use our democratic right to transform. Because I feel that when democratic movements do come up in that manner, they can and they do transform. And one example I would say is that after the Nixon-Kissinger era of world domination and assassinations of and coups all over the place when they were in power, they did, especially Kissinger. What happened afterwards when President Carter came and the Frank Church Committee and all these people, they set up, they transformed the whole legal monitoring and parameter system. And what they made all such people, the devious ones who would curtail civil liberties and so on, they made them absolutely redundant for decades. Of course, things have now turned back after 9/11, but the thing is that the power of people's democratic assertion is huge. And you're right that if there is a conspiracy, and there are people, the scientists and so on, who are looking at it and who should be looking at it. And there are young people with computer and other technology who are looking at it and who should be looking at it. And, there are whistleblowers, humane whistleblowers. And I think that they should, come up. And then, of course, the same mortal, the same individual, the same nobody, dispensable, all of them can get together and then change. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that could potentially happen? That if people did get together and with regards to the conspiracy theories, you think the reaction by a lot of people could potentially have an impact at that level?
I don't think that we know that there is a conspiracy. I think that once we find out if there is a conspiracy, if we get to know that there were people who are conspiring or have conspired to do something really evil, then of course there will be a mass movement. It may not be a mass movement in the sense that Britain, I have not read anywhere that Britain has had any real revolution except for the Charles II's, Charles I's beheading. That was, the closest that Britain came to a revolution. But as far as a revolution in terms of effect is concerned, I think that, yes, if there were people who were trying to do it, Britain is mature enough and people in Britain are such that they will not tolerate this degree of exploitation of people. I was extremely heartened to see one of the parliamentarians from the government party stand up in the parliament and said that I see my country heading towards dictatorship. And now the thing is that coming from a right of center politician who's part of the establishment, who holds civil liberties and Britain so dear, that is what this place is all about.
So there's lots of rumours that are abounding, but what kind of evidence do you think needs to be discovered before confirmation can be attained that this was potentially this was a conspiracy theory? Because there's lots of rumours and there's lots of ideas going around, but in terms of concrete, tangible evidence,
I don't think there is any. The only evidence that we have is that the nurse collapsed and a couple of people needed medical treatment, or somebody had anaphylactic shock, but nobody died, and so on. And I do not think that we know at this particular moment in time what are the long-term effects. There are, as I said, some rumors about fertility and so on, but nothing tangible has come out yet. So because the thing is that the whole world is involved in here. So it's not, conspiracy generally occurs between a cohort of conspirators, 2, 3, 10, whatever, maybe an organization or heads of some organization. But here you have all the world, all these clashing politics and politicians and clashing interests and, synergistic interests and so on. And I think that there always is a little agenda somewhere, but, definitely there is a financial agenda, because, everybody was rushing to be the first to approve a vaccine, the Americans versus the British, versus the European, versus the Russian and the Chinese, because, this is hundreds of trillions and trillions of dollars worth of business. So I think that the most sinister conspiracy that somebody will put in some form of a chip which will, blast at a particular moment or do something that way, maybe slightly, but obviously I'm very happy to accept that it may, but so far I don't think that I have gone that far in my acceptance of that.
So would you be quite happy are you planning to have the injection?
The thing is that this anaphylaxis and this collapse of the lady has given me some second thoughts, because obviously I'm not that young, and and I'm at that vulnerable cusp of people. So I'm not too sure that I would like to have a few million people get it before me.
I think that's everyone's perspective at the moment. But what do you think caused the lady to have to pass out like that? What's your personal view?
It's a new chemical that this body, didn't recognize and had a reaction to it, as the anaphylaxis is. That it's your blood pressure falls and your capillaries dilate and then you collapse or whatever. So I would say that for some. But I do not have a conspiracy theory that it may contain, if it contains a chip that, sharpens my brain, yes, I'd love to have that. But I don't think that they would be putting that in.
And so from a psychological approach, looking at conspiracy theories, psychologically, you don't think this would be the best tool for those behind a conspiracy to actually execute one? You don't think coronavirus it would be the right way to go about?
It would be an ideal time. The thing is that what is the best time to launch a conspiracy? When everybody's scared, when everybody's receptive, when everybody's defenses are down, when they're willing to accept anything, when could you imagine that a British government would say nobody will come out on weekends? There'll be a revolution, real revolution, heads will roll. But with Corona, what's happened? Government says no, everybody stops. Simon says stop, everybody stops. And this is exactly what's happening.
So you sound like you're in two mindsets there. You're one, it's not the conspiracy, and then like it could be. So is that...
No, what I'm saying is that this is the right moment to do it.
Right.
So if I had the power, and if I wanted to have more power, you understand what I'm saying? What is the best time to make laws about restriction of liberties? This is the time.
Okay, yeah.
What is the best time to involve, surveillance everybody? This is the time. Where did you go? Whom do you contact? Normally these things are held so dear in terms of our privacy and our, discretion. But now you have to be tagged. There is what do you call track and trace apps that you do. Tomorrow, if they start putting these little trackers on everybody, people will take it. Because
I understand what you're saying. It might not have necessarily started as a conspiracy, but it could potentially be a great tool for the wrong kind of action.
I'll give you an example. Didn't civil liberties all across the world, especially in the US with Patriot Act and so on, get absolutely smothered after 9/11?
Yeah.
Right? That was the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the ideal time to do exactly what you want to do.
So are you worried? Does it cause you any sleepless nights? Are you worried at all about that?
Look, I'm worried about the impact on, health is one thing. So I want to separate or try to separate that there is a health concern and then there is the social concern. What social concern I have is the disparity, the difference in death ratio between, social class 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 5, 6. And then there is the discrepancy in the population epidemiological difference in terms of how many Asians have died, how many Africans have died, how many Filipinos have died compared to the Caucasians. So that's what concerns me, that are we dealing with it? Because so far, I don't think that we're dealing with it. We are not even considering it. But these are core and significant issues because 2 of my own friends have died. Well, actually 3 now. So what I'm saying is that when you do that and, it's happening, so it's a worry. The second thing that I feel is that the overall impact on civil liberties, because as I said, that this is the right time for laws to be transformed and so on. So if the government or the police or other law enforcement agencies have seen a reduction in crime, their authority really go up, where they can stop people saying, what are you doing here? What are you doing in this lawn? Why don't you go inside? Whose car is this? When the level of interference in a citizen's life is that, it's very difficult to unlearn and give up that power.
Okay.
So these are the 2 bits that worry me.
Okay, thank you.